In the dense heart of Central America, another forgotten world once breathed fire into the skies. The Maya civilization, so often reduced to myths of apocalypse or blood rituals, was in truth a culture of astonishing complexity. They mapped the stars with a precision that rivaled modern telescopes. They developed a calendar system so intricate that it could track solar eclipses centuries in advance. Their cities, Tikal, Palenque, Copan, rose with stepped pyramids, stone palaces, astronomical observatories. They didn't just build for survival, they built for wonder. Time for them wasn't linear. It was sacred, circular, every stone aligned with constellations, every carving etched with meaning. Their writing system, hieroglyphs, told epics of kings and gods, of floods and fire, of sacrifice and renewal. But when the Spanish came, they saw only heathens. They burned the codices, the sacred books, until only 4 survived. 4 out of thousands. Imagine a civilization stretching over 3,000 years, erased in mere decades. Not because it failed, but because it threatened someone else's story. Yet even now, in the ruins of jungle-covered temples, in the faces of descendants still speaking ancient dialects, the Maya endure. Far across the sea, another flame once burned. In what we now call Iraq, the Abbasid Caliphate ruled from the city of Baghdad, a name that once meant light, knowledge, civilization. While Europe was drowning in superstition and fear, Baghdad was home to the House of Wisdom, a place where Muslims, Christians, Jews, and scholars from every walk of life gathered to translate, preserve, and expand human knowledge. Mathematics, astronomy, medicine, philosophy, all were nourished there. Algebra was refined. Surgical instruments were invented. The works of Plato and Aristotle were not merely preserved, but debated, criticized, expanded upon. In the 9th century, Baghdad's libraries held hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, and the streets were filled not with fear, but with poets, philosophers, and dreamers. But in 1258, the Mongols came, and they didn't just sack the city, they slaughtered it. They threw books into the Tigris River, and legend says the water ran black with ink for days. It wasn't just a conquest, it was an intellectual extinction. And still, the influence of the Abbasid Caliphate shaped everything that followed. It lit the fuse of the European Renaissance. Yet how often do we credit them? How often do we remember where that light first ignited? To the north, in the cold winds of Eurasia, rose an empire so immense its riders could traverse from the Pacific to the edge of Europe. The Mongol Empire under Genghis Khan was more than just brutal conquest. It was global connection. Yes, they conquered with ferocity. Yes, cities burned in their wake. But beneath the chaos was something unexpected. Order. Unity. The Mongols enforced trade protection, religious freedom, a postal system, and the first real passports. Under their rule, the Silk Road flourished. For the first time, Chinese silks, Persian manuscripts, and Italian merchants like Marco Polo moved across vast distances with relative safety. They unified a fractured world, not through peace, but through precision, through terrifying, undeniable discipline. But Western history books prefer to paint Genghis Khan as a savage, as if the only way to make room for their own heroes was to demonize the ones who came before. What they forget is this. The Mongols built a world stage centuries before globalism had a name. Now shift your gaze eastward into the lands of the rising sun. Japan, Korea, and especially China, home to one of the longest continuous civilizations on Earth. The Tang dynasty was a golden age. Poetry became statecraft. Painting reached spiritual heights. Foreigners were welcomed in Chang'an, one of the largest cities in the world. It was a cosmopolitan paradise where merchants from Persia, India, and Arabia walked the same markets, sharing spices, silk, and secrets. Later, under the Ming dynasty, China's naval power reached a peak the world still struggles to comprehend. Admiral Zheng He, a Muslim eunuch of the Ming court, commanded fleets so massive, over 300 ships, some 5 times the size of Columbus's, they dwarfed anything Europe would see for centuries. He sailed to India, East Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, not to conquer, but to connect, to share gifts, to establish diplomatic bonds. And yet today, in most Western stories of exploration, his name is either erased or barely whispered. Because if the world had truly remembered Zheng He, Columbus might have looked less like a pioneer and more like an afterthought. History has always been a mirror. But what happens when the mirror is cracked? When only one reflection is allowed to shine and the rest are left in shadow. The truth is, empires rose across every corner of the earth, long before the West called itself modern. They ruled not with arrogance, but with vision, with a belief in legacy, in learning, in something bigger than any one man, any one army, any one century. And as we peel back the layers of dust, as we unearth what was buried by conquest, colonization, and time, we begin to see something extraordinary. That the human story is not one of domination, but of contribution,